Seriously.
Behave.
Sarah coming?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's plan as of like a
Actually,
couple hours ago.
You know, that's.
She's really good at fitting as many things as possible
Slide
in
it
a
right in.
day, so, all right.
I can't read that.
Just next week.
Good thing is-
I should be here in 4
I can't
minutes.
really
if
read
you
that.
wanna get,
We can go through
I think
the
we
stuff.
can cover.
All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 5:30. Rachel, you call the roll?
Scott Reed will get out of sync. Scott Reed,
Here.
Richard Swarthout,
Here.
Dan Mulder, Jay Roter,
Here.
Maggie Claus,
Here.
Jamie Melky.
Here.
Sarah will be here in 4 minutes. Okay.
All right, have you everyone had a chance to review the October 14 meeting minutes? Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Is there a motion to approve?
I would make a motion to approve.
That Caitlin was there?
Yes.
All right, with the addition of Caitlin in the roll call part of that.
As amended, I would make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second?
Been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. Any board communications for us, Rachel?
No.
All right, we're to the public comment section, so is there anything you'd like to say up front?
It's not on the agenda.
Yeah.
I would just would like to request a date that will be saved for us, which would be July 3rd of 2026 at Jean Jardine Park to have the 8th annual Winter Dog Races. Starts at we like to we get down on the set up our little track and stuff about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and by 10, we like to start having registration, and everything is free. We have wonderful prizes. The first prize is a $50 gift certificate up at the pet store in Harvard, and then there's second and third, which are $25 gift certificates. Plus, we have all sorts of just fun prizes that go along with these prizes. We have divisions. We have senior division, we have a puppy division, and then we have an adult division, which is like from about 1.5 on up to about 9. And they run 2 at a time, and it's a process of elimination. And it works out really well. We have our stat guys that take everything down, and then we award. And I've gone over to the trophy case, and we actually have medals just exactly like the Olympic medals that we give out. And it's pretty classy. I mean, it's first time. Like I said, it's free to everybody who has a dachshund that wants to participate. And the only thing that we do, we have, actually we had 2 DJs or MCs, I should call them, that announced for us. And the one gentleman has been with us for the past 7 years. And he is Scott McKenzie. He's the head of the Charlevoix Humane Society. He's the director. And he livens things up. I mean, it's really funny. One year, I'm not blaming the city or anything, but they kind of forgot. And it was about that one.
Which is as long as their legs.
Real challenge.
And I had a 3-month-old puppy. And it was like, ice always her head. And she had no idea what was going on. Come on, Ruby, come on, Ruby, come on, Ruby. And Scott was hilarious. Come on, Ruby, let's get this going. So the whole crowd was just chanting, Ruby, Ruby. And then he speaks up. He says, Ruby, it's like a safari. Go for it. So it's just fun all the way through. And, now that's the whole main purpose, is to have fun. And, we do have a donation box. And this year, we were able to divide up $1,500 to each of our humane societies. The one on the Harbor Conway Road and the one to Charlotte.
Okay, that's really great. Well, thanks for every year doing that event. It's such a great,
I mean,
such a great
we,
night.
we have about almost 400 people, sometimes.
I know, it's, yeah, it's.
They just gather.
It's a great, great event. That's really great.
And you know about the form to be filled out, right?
Yes, I filled out forms 4, so do I get those tonight and have them?
So, Carol's here because I sent an email to everyone that's hosted an event historically in the city. About the process of the event, basically giving them a heads up that it may change to 60 days prior, things like that. And Carol attached that email, so she'd asked to go to a park board meeting. She knows you may be discussing it a little bit tonight in a future meeting. So
But-
that'll still be an agenda item.
Okay,
Yeah. So Carol, when we get to that part, we'd love to hear what your thoughts are on it. We'll circle back to you. if that's okay. But thank you for hosting the event. It's such a great.
Well, you know, I like to make it up. And then my daughter and I have the float, we used to walk. And at one time, we had 65 bikes that walked on the quarter block. But it's just gotten so hot, the pavement's getting hotter and hotter, so we decided to float. And so you ride on our boat.
It's great. It's a great event. All right. Anybody online, Rachel?
Oh, yeah. Somebody. Oh, Marissa, that's the bride. Wedding. Yeah,
great.
that's Marissa.
All right. If there's no more public comments, at least in general, we can go into the discussion items. I would imagine that Marissa wants to maybe talk to us a little bit about get down to the events on Hagley property. So first up, we've got a conversation about park signage.
Yes, and let me, Deanna sent a picture, oh, I don't have it, but I can pop. Yeah. Okay, save it up here. So the state of Michigan has an application process where you can put in for an historical marker sign. And we actually have a couple in town. One is outside, someone correct me. One's by the depot. I think the other one's outside Blackbird.
Yeah.
Right?
Outside.
Yeah.
In Bay Park.
So they look, okay, this isn't it. That's not what I'm looking for. But they're basically like the big encasement signs similar to this. I'm looking for one, back to Michigan though. So I had to sit down with Eric Hemingway and he is, in charge of archives and records for the tribe. And a couple years ago, I had asked him to come up with some verbiage for Indian Town Park and Zorn Beach. He did it a couple years ago, and then parks, you know, we kind of had it in our plan to do our signage, and we never moved forward with it. So it's kind of just been sitting in my email box for years. This is what they look like. You can see that on the side here. They do come in different sizes. The design doesn't change much, but the price depends on how the text is. Like the text is the same on both sides or different text on one side, the size of the sign, things like that. But anywho, let me go down. He had said that the beach could be a really good applicant for a historical marker sign. We talked a little bit about Indian Town, but that's not like, it wasn't, usually it's like a historical site or a historical person, and he wasn't sure if Indian Town really fit either of those. It's a pretty prestigious application process. It can take up to 2 years. He is on the board, so he would have to recuse himself from a vote, but he'd be really helpful with that process of the application and getting everything in. It's something we've always kind of talked about, putting a sign down in Indian Town, but then we've had, you know, educational signage or something with it, even if it's on the same sign, you know, Indian Town, and then we put, I think his verbiage has it on here. Maybe like some text underneath that relates it back. So I figured I'd bring it to the board to just kind of talk about the process. And kind of move forward with if we're interested in this at all for Zorn Beach, and it's something we want to look into, if it's something we don't want to move forward with. But we do have it in our budget to move forward with branding our park this year. So I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Does any have any general questions from the packet? I'm not gonna read
I
it
think we
verbatim.
talked about this already and everybody supported it, right? Or am I? Yeah,
Is there a historical reason for like the maroon signs? Cause
So so the maroon signs, that's just what the city, that's what they all are. That's what they were in DPW. If you go up to DPW now, they're still maroon. The building signs used to be maroon. I have no idea when they changed the blue. I don't know if it was when the city logo was changed, or if it's when the wayfinding signs went into the park. But now they're all blue. So the maroon is fading. I think the only place they're left is that skate park sign, the Kiwanis sign on Lake and Arbor, and then DPW.
so you're gonna switch them to blue though?
Gonna switch them to blue.
Okay.
Yeah.
so that was the question.
Yeah, we're gonna just switch them to blue. They're gonna be the same size, same generic. Those are not gonna be expensive projects. That's gonna be a quick order them and put them up.
You wanna go a little bigger on the Kiwanis sign, that's pretty small.
Yeah, we could talk about that or make the text a little bigger, cause I think that
Yeah, it's hard to
outline's
see.
a little
It's hard to
small too,
see.
so it may fix itself when we do the outline. And then the wayfinding blue signs, those are a little more expensive, so I just wanna like Shape Park could be part of the project, if fundraising continues, Kiwanis could potentially be part of the project.
And what's the difference between the two categories? Like, what does it mean, like wayfinding blue signs?
The
versus-
wayfinding ones are the big ones, like the ones that
Have the
say Zorn
arrows
Park.
pointing.
Okay.
Yeah, the ones that are,
So
the ones
these are
that have
just
the DDA
smaller
project.
versions of,
Yeah,
same
the
thing.
small maroon signs are just little signs up posts.
Okay.
The wayfinding signs are like when that whole project went where it's like Zorn Park, I'm trying to think where else they are.
There's one at the Deer Park.
Yeah, there's one at the Deer Park, they're kind of in random, so I don't even think it was a parks project.
Proud Beach,
Assuming
yeah.
it was DDA when they did all their signs. So we would be in line with those.
I'm not a big fan of a big sign for the Indian Park area. Nobody goes there. I go by there all the time and nobody goes there.
I mean, arguably, it's because
Nothing's there.
there's nothing there, right? We haven't, we kind of neglected it. It's, I shouldn't say neglected, but it's one that we haven't put our priorities with, because there's priorities but elsewhere, so. I don't think we should ignore, that as an option.
I don't know if they need to be so big either. I think that they end up being kind of out of scale. I'm thinking about Shea Park, to have a big giant sign there just doesn't seem right. So maybe there's a way to just scale the sign back. Same
So-
format.
So I think on Indian Town, I'd be more interested in having a historical sign in Indian Town describing what happened there and putting it in the context of the city, less about the sort of big park sign,
Right.
more about like, let's tell the story of what happened here in the context of the Odawa people who came and why it's an important piece of town, as opposed to just sort of marking it
And
as a
would that
park.
preclude a small?
I don't know that it
city
would, no,
sign?
no.
Yeah,
And that sign, if we're not gonna do a wayfinding sign, and we're not gonna, brand it, if you will, that could wait till we do a master plan for that part.
I think
That would be
makes
my
sense.
recommendation then. If it's not gonna be part of wayfinding, and if it's gonna be purely the historical, then we just wait till we do a master plan for that park. And then that way we're not placing a random sign somewhere, the historical,
I agree with that.
so.
I do like the, historical sign for Zorn Beach, though.
An important thing to know about the historical marker, and I don't know this for a fact, so don't quote me, but the state, I'm pretty sure governs almost where it goes within the park. So if they say the historical marker is the beach, it's going into the beach, into the sand, or as close to that historical marker as we can. I just wanna make sure that's clear, that we don't necessarily control that process. They have statutes that decide, where that marker goes, within reason.
Can we give suggestions?
Yeah, we can give suggestions, we just can't obviously put it in like upper
Yeah.
Zorn and say, this is for the beach, that would make any sense.
I just wonder though, if we want a sign at Indian Town, for now, just a small one that could be moved. We were saying, let's try and get a sign at every park, like Sneaky Beach and all that. there's really nothing there right now, right?
No, you're talking about the one that's off, like you have to drive up the, like, back part of the point and it's kind of off.
Yep,
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's nothing there.
I don't think,
We
you know, if we're
technically
gonna
call
do
it
like a
something.
Kiwanis size sign there.
Like it's on the sign.
No, it's not Washington.
We talked about that. Where the
You
design
don't
is
want
now,
us.
not gonna do a sign there.
Sorry.
Thought we had discussed that a while back, the board had decided not to do, because we did talk about doing a post with just like a city logo even.
Oh, you mean for
And-
Sneaky Beach?
Yeah.
I don't actually remember, but.
I just wanna make
don't-
sure whatever we do, it's uniform.
Yes.
I just
Yeah.
wanna make sure that if we make a decision and we do a sign, like signs are not, especially when we're talking about wayfinding signs, they're not cheap. So I
I
just
think
wanna
they're
make,
kind of garish, though. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
for me.
yeah, I don't
I
mind if
would
we scale them
like-
down, I just wanna make sure the color and the font and everything else still looks
I think we
uniform.
should definitely replace the maroon ones with the updated color.
Yeah.
So they're all one.
I think the wayfinding signs are nice to have, but I almost think that we should wait until we do a master plan because a lot of our wayfinding signs, like at the beach, have the rules, and if we don't have a master plan, we don't know what's gonna be there. Maybe there are rules that we're gonna wanna add when we do a master plan. So I like Danny's idea of having a historical date.
I actually recommend not putting rules on signs at all, your wayfinding signs, only because they do change. Or like, for instance, the beach, a couple are missing.
Yeah.
Like no kayaks. Which, well, bad boys. So,
I just think we need to stay consistent and.
yeah, exactly, but it like rule signs being metal that are like easily changed and cheap are usually more, like they're just easier
Yeah,
to come
yeah.
by. But yeah, I totally agree though, that if we're doing a wayfinding sign, like we can wait until there's a master plan for the park. It makes the most sense to know where we're putting it. But we're comfortable then with moving forward with looking into the market program. That's really all I need is just a general consensus, and then I'll come back for a firm motion once like an application and kind of that whole process is outlined.
There's a price,
Yeah.
obviously.
And then, yeah, but I think the most expensive is like $2,500. It's not, yeah, you're just paying for the sign and the installation. the
Yeah.
tape.
I don't know how we handle this, but, there's some, bad grammar and spelling mistakes.
Yeah, I'll go over that with Eric, yeah.
And there
I'll
was,
fine-tune it.
there was a little bit that I was confused at the
Yeah,
beginning that I might suggest. Just to rewording, because I just didn't quite understand what he
Yeah.
was saying, so.
And then I was gonna say, especially in the Indian Town one, that's a lot of words. I mean, is somebody gonna stand there and read all that?
yeah, they can condense it down. And the final wording would come to the board for anything, yeah, when it, and a council.
This state historical society, whoever does those things, do they review that? I assume they review that text to make sure.
So they actually likely will come up with a text. I've looked at the application and they give you like a broad overview of why you're applying for that space. And then you give the dates and then I think they come up with a verbiage. So the application will be through the city, but it'll be in partnership with the tribe. So I'm sure there'll be more, more conversation about what the text says and the accuracy. And then I think the state pretty much takes over from there,
Do you
from what
think,
it sounds like.
do you think the tribe and I would expect they would see this similar to the one at the Blackbird Post Office that is in English on one side and O'Donnell on the other side?
Yeah, I would assume.
Yeah, yes, on that, right. Okay, then that, I think that makes a ton of sense.
And it's a good time to do it because it just went to council to do the banner. I don't know if any of you listened to that meeting, but up at Tourist Park, we have the banner, there's gonna be some verbiage that changes, I can't speak to exactly what it is. But basically introduces the city of Harbor Springs, who's also a tribal community. And their native language on there, so we have an opening. And we're moving that direction and do that.
I don't think that that's finalized yet.
It's
I
not
think,
finalized,
yeah.
but it seems like people were very open to it.
yeah, I think council said that they were interested in.
Yeah, to see designs and.
Yep.
I think it's important we do.
Okay, so we don't need a motion on that tonight. I'll bring some final verbiage and dates and things like that. And we can put it through.
All right, any other comments on that one?
So just to clarify,
Yeah.
on the Indian Town Park, you had a sentence in here, we would install a city sign for Indian Town with educational text, but we would not do that if we get the historical sign.
Correct, I'll speak to Eric about anytime whether that would fit. There's a possibility that we could always apply and not get it, and then do a different sign, no harm, no foul, so.
Right.
All right. Moving along, we got, talk a little bit about the Zorn Fountain. Rachel?
Yeah, so it was brought up, a public comment during a council meeting, we were talking about CIP or capital improvement project, sorry. About the Zorn Fountain, that it's in Surrey, which it is. So I reached out to John Cox, and we have a couple options that we can do. I don't know if you read over the quote, so he can repair the concrete for $2,248. That would have to be done approximately every other year. That's a guess, right? I mean, we patch it about every year, but I'm not a professional concrete patcher, so that's why it happens every year.
Could you show the picture and show?
Yeah, I
us?
will.
Okay.
And then, or what we could do is cover the concrete with a overlay protection, and it's like a resin material. It's like a permeable substance. Hold on one second, I have a picture of it. Bear with me. So that's an old picture of the fountain. And this would be, why is that so small? You guys can't even see that, can you? Not all.
So is it where the red is?
Yeah. And I only did where the red is to make it uniform. Really no other reason. I don't know how to make
You click on it and pull the corner.
this. Well, let me zoom in.
If you crop it, make it bigger.
But any,
Aspect ratio,
where?
other corner.
I have a question.
Yeah.
On the side of that,
Mhm.
there is a plaque of veterans that's
Mhm.
Was that being repaired or?
It was
Back
repaired,
up.
and it's been replaced, but it looks much nicer now.
Yeah,
It's better,
okay.
but it was cleaned and.
There's tip it out there.
Yeah, our DPW director cleaned it and went through a whole chemical process and then
Really sharp.
They look great.
Okay, well, I can't make this bigger, but I can get another photo to you when I do my update. But basically, wherever you see concrete on there, I have it as resin, and I only did that so it looks uniform. So there's not, cause someone back in the day painted it blue, I'm assuming it's not always been blue, would be my assumption.
The concrete's painted blue.
Yeah.
It's
that's
very
blue like
light,
the building.
yeah.
It's the same blue as the buildings, whenever they painted the building blue. Which I'm assuming was like 2020, 2021, somewhere in there. Before me, they painted the concrete blue.
Yes.
So
Anywho.
in this case, Rachel, though, we're not really not talking about the stone necessarily, so not.
No, we're not
changing the
touching the
stone or
stone.
anything
That's
like that.
just-
Just the concrete,
Oh,
kind of header,
Well, I
footer,
think
Yeah.
foundation kind of thing.
Say repair of the grout in Fieldstone.
Yeah,
Yes.
he wouldn't touch the stone though, would stay exactly the same. That's all gonna be.
He'll fix the joints.
Hey,
Other. Like just hover above the. That top of the screen, no, like put your cursor on the top of the screen, see the, yeah,
Okay, see
X
there?
in the corner.
Thank you, Karen.
Okay, just gonna sit there for now.
So,
Yeah.
That's your spot.
okay, so
They have young people.
So we have asked for $7,000 in the 2026 budget. Now that's if we went with the resin. Worst case scenario, we don't go with the resin, we don't spend the 7,000, spend around, 25. I put it in there basically as a staple when the budget gets approved.
So is this, you're saying every other year we're gonna have this bill of $1,800 to repair it?
I mean, most likely, yeah. It's just, I mean, without tearing the fountain down, which I don't think anyone here wants to do. It's going to crack and break, yeah.
Do you know how long the resin would last?
So ideally, it would last 10 years. It could last much more, but you're basically guaranteed 10 years. A lot of people use this for like patios, things like that, because it is permeable. I did speak to John Cup today because my question was like, so in 10 years, we have to replace a spot. And basically when they replace resin, they cut a piece off and then they replace it in that piece. But you're not guaranteed it's gonna be the same color. It's now been faded over 10 years. It's UV protected, but we all know that's not a perfect system. So most likely it would have to be that section, if it did here, would have to be completely redone to match, if you wanted it to match perfectly. Those were the questions I had. Likely it would last more than 10 years, but I mean, there are a lot more questions to be said, you know, is that aesthetically what we want fountain?
What I was gonna ask you, what his opinion was on putting the resin in with all the different colored fields down. Did he think that it would go well with it or it would look? Strange.
Yeah, we found, I actually saw the samples in person down there, and there are, you saw in your packet, I Xed out the ones.
Yeah, I saw it, yeah.
Yes, and not stuff.
Yeah.
We're not gonna discuss it, but there are some that have some warm and cool undertones, I think would look
Okay.
really good there, because the stone has some warm and cool tones. Or you could go gray. I like the finer grain versus the coarse grain personally, because it looks more like cement. I think you want it to get as close as you can to that cement, and we can just go with cement. I really don't feel either way on it, but I think we should look at options and weigh the cost benefits on whether we want to do this assuming every other year. It's all an assumption.
Be nice to see it actually.
And I
Just
didn't ask them if
like-
we can bring the samples to the next,
Yeah,
the
like
next meeting,
Yeah, it would be good. I would agree with you that if we do it, it should be like maybe the light gray that just looks like
Yeah.
concrete.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah.
That thought.
And
So it makes it
And we can, I can ask him to borrow the samples and keep them at the office for a week, and if
Stop
you
by.
all wanna stop in and go down to the fountain, I'm comfortable with that. It's not something that needs to be decided this month, but I did wanna put the 7,000 in the budget, or at least request it, in case we went this route, and then we weren't going back and asking for more money, if that makes sense. So that was kind of the thought. So if we're open to at least discussing the resin and see what it looks like, then we can at least investigate it.
Yeah, I think it's worth looking at.
Yeah.
Particularly if it
Yeah.
gets us more years out of it and
Yeah.
protects the fountain. I think, you know, as we found out when people noticed when the plaques were gone and they noticed when they returned and were really polished up and looked great, people like that fountain and it means a lot to people. So
I agree with you.
whatever we can do to try to make sure it lives longer.
Been there.
What's that?
Long has it?
Hmm,
I hate to say this, but I'm 73.
World
That's
War
been
One.
there.
it came after World War One, so it's, but
That's a
so
long time now.
sometime in the 20s maybe.
Well, one of those pictures has the Indian school still in the background, so
Yeah.
when
Yeah,
is
no,
that for you?
And I agree with Danny. I also don't think it hurts to have this on a couple meetings. Because that is a very prominent feature in our parks. We're not talking about a drinking fountain by any means and changing it. The resin will change the look, so I think it's appropriate to have a couple meetings, really think it through and look at how it looks like. So.
It just gets so much use, and especially with the resin lasting longer, and if we can make it, like, worst comes to worst, we can make it a natural color that blends with concrete. I think it would just like be a lot better.
But I think this would be a good project for the community to see us do this spring.
Do we know of anybody who is a historic architect or something along those lines who could look at that to say structurally, if the resin or cement, how that might impact the fountain itself?
I just wonder if it's permeable, if water is still gonna get through and get into the concrete and rot it from the inside.
It's not my area of expertise. There's just thrown out there. Is anybody, is the
Those are questions that we
Historical
can ask.
Society? With us?
So like I said, I didn't think about the key, like, when you patch concrete, it's either because it's painted blue.
Well, there are a lot, it feels like to me there are more questions to be asked about it, but it's not that we're not open to
Not against
that as a suggestion. maybe it's a great one, we just don't know it already, but.
If we put it in the budget for the $7,000 and then we choose to do the $2,000, any harm?
No.
Then let's move forward with the $7,000.
We look like heroes.
Yes,
Did a
look
bunch
at
of
us.
money, right? Look at that.
Fiscally responsible.
I always like to plan high worst case scenario than have it happen later.
In the meantime, could you see if maybe somebody from Historical Society might have some ideas on the actual aid?
And actually, the woman, I think her great grandfather built it in town.
Yeah.
I know them fairly well, so I guess. Well, not really well, but they got married down there a couple years ago, so.
Can I bring up one more thing kind
Yeah.
of related to this is, this gets back to, I think, one of our goals in our master plan is to do an annual safety and maintenance check at every park. And I think it'd be so much better if we found these things instead of having like Janie Jenkins find.
All right, and on that note, we'll go on to old business. Back to events on city property policy. We sent a memo, if you remember last time, we sent it up to city council, trying to prod them to give us some directive as to what they wanted. And if, Rachel, if it's okay, I'm gonna turn to Jamie. Is it okay if you
Yeah.
try to kick it off? Because you're the one who's on the hot seat on that.
Okay, so I went to council and I presented the memo and what we had talked about a little bit. Marissa was at the meeting, and so right now, all council really wants from us is Marissa had asked that we give her an answer about the wedding reception or the wedding ceremony by December. So if we say no, she has time to plan something else. The event and city property policy, I think council is happy if we spend time with it. They don't want to see it back anytime soon. We have budget zoning. So this is something we can bring back in April, next September. But I do think that they really want us to take a look at, you know, some of the bigger events. And I know that Danny and Rachel met with Festival of the Book and Chamber and some other people. So I think that that isn't what I think we need to decide today. I think we need to decide, council was open to allowing private events on city property potentially as maybe a trial for 2026 to decide if it works. And also to allow us to establish the rules.
I'm not sure that the board last time was against private events on public property.
Let me just
We
clarify.
weren't in favor.
No, let me clarify. We do allow events like this, and we do not allow high impact. Low impact, we do. The question is, if the wedding is high impact or a private event is high impact, we don't allow it at this time. And if we do wanna allow them, do we wanna charge over more than $100? And is this wedding high impact?
And are there some measures we can take to make it less
So,
high impact?
right. So council, the feedback that I heard from council was $100 is not enough. Is this high impact because they did reduce the amount of time to 2 to 3 hours for setup, ceremony, takedown? Do we want to allow tents? Do we want to make sure that they have a shuttle service? The point was made that anyone can gather in a park, so if they really wanted to do this, they could. This would allow us to have control of the event. Should we or can we charge differently based on if you're a resident or a non-resident? Are parks values different? The time of the year, should we charge more? Should we charge less? Should we block off a portion of the summer? And overall, some people wanted a little more feedback. But most of council was okay with maybe doing a trial. There were 2 public comments. One person said, I don't want weddings in the park. The other person said that this could be a really great PR move for Harbor Springs and that them having 140 guests from who knows where, maybe somebody comes here and decides they really love it and they want to open a restaurant or open a store, invest in our community in some way. So that's what council said. I think that they want our recommendation on maybe a price, the stipulations that we would like to see. Do we want to do a trial? I think that's all they want from us after today.
And then we have time to work on the
The rest.
application.
Yeah.
Marissa also verified at the council meeting that the chairs will be taken down the day of. They do not plan on coming out of the tent, even if it rains. They have a plan to host the ceremony at the pier if that happens. Their backup plan would not be a state tent. Chairs down the same day. They did reduce the time.
Some issue, if I remember, Rachel, about moving picnic tables.
They offered to move them back.
They offered it back, so based off that council meeting. If Marissa and all of that had already been in her application, which I made some of those adjustments, so staff would have known that. Which would have been really helpful, I think, help staff, helps Marissa, help them. I would have made this low impact.
Yes.
Because it is a Friday and not Saturday in June, may have put it, that's the things we can discuss later. When we talk about the policy, but I'm telling you from a staff perception, like knowing what I know now. And if we had had the application more firm, with those questions, I would now base this as low impact.
Which gives us good points to adjust the application on more, we need more specific timeframes and what are you doing with the tables?
I was gonna say that, to appreciate Marissa for giving us this long time frame, honestly. But it allows us to sort of look at the application and sort of say, well, what pieces of information are we missing? If we thought it was high impact, but it's actually probably low impact, that is a drastic difference between those two things. And the difference between saying no and saying, maybe so.
Right.
So I think there's, it points out some flaws of our system. But
Well, and I think council is also saying that, it's not one size fits all, that really
not.
each event needs to be looked at separate.
And-
And they
But we
depend
need
on
a
like,
more objective way of looking at them, not just like, well, you're a local and you can do it, like, we
Yeah.
need like, what is your time frame? What is the impact on the land? What is the impact on the residents, like all of. we need
which
more.
park is that?
Exactly, what time of year is it?
yeah,
There definitely should be a time when they're blocked out too.
Yeah, so for instance, and then we can get into the nitty gritty once we go over the policy and application, and some of it has been adjusted in the application already. That through this process, Victor and I decided it would be helpful, like had I known it, when she turned it in the first time and have you asked those questions, we wouldn't have had these, we would have had the answers already. So that was helpful. But also like Traverse City, for instance, before you even start their application, they'd have you answer 5 questions. Yes is the answer to any of those 5 is high impact, no questions asked. And then you either continue with that high impact application or they move you to a low impact application, which is approved by staff. But if any of those 5 is yes,
What are the questions?
automatically. If your tent over 1,000 square foot, is it more than a day? I mean, it's Traverse City, so like it's a little more. I think theirs is a little more broad than ours would do. Ours would be, but that's how they decide. So what we could say something similar to use Petoskey, for instance, based off are you using more than a third of the park? They have their parks in quadrants. If you use it over a certain percentage of Bayfront Park, high impact. If it's under this, it's not. So I think they're good. We have more information now to dictate, like what's high and low. But yeah, based on the council meeting, what Marissa provided and was willing to be flexible with, thank you, Marissa. I would say this is low impact now.
Now that we have that information.
I agree that I think it is low impact, but I do think that we should still be able to make sure, that they have a shuttle. I know that they said that, but like it should still be in writing that we know that they have a shuttle contract, because if we don't make sure all of it is in writing, even though they've already agreed to it, somebody else might come along and not be as nice as they are and say, oh, yes, and then we have no way to enforce it.
So do you think council then is looking for a recommendation from parks to, okay, the trial and then what the parameters would be?
I think that would be helpful. There may be more that they add or things that they change, but for instance, I think anything with large tent, I don't know what the square feet would be. I think anything with a tent is kind of a high impact. It's probably not gonna come down immediately.
I would agree.
So should we then maybe, work on a list of what the
I think we
parameters
can
would
just-
be?
If we're looking at a trial, I think we should say, like, when do we wanna do the trial? Do we wanna make this trial for 2026? Is everything open? Do we wanna block off certain dates?
Oh, I guess my question is, what are we trialing? Because we allow private events, low impact, already in the policy.
And are we adjusting this entire policy before we allow a trial, or are
The
we having a
trial
trial
would
to
be
figure out what we need
high
to adjust?
I think we're looking at a trial to figure out, we wanna know what people want to do in our parks. And I think that the policy right now with low impact, high impact is hard to say. You know, is it based on people? Is it based on how many hours? So I think that saying a trial, we can use what happens to develop our policy.
Well, do we even need a trial though, if we've now decided this is low impact and would naturally be approved?
Well, and maybe for this one particular, maybe it's not a great.
What if another one
case,
were?
but if another
Well,
one
and this
came
made
up-
us realize we need to adjust our application.
Yeah.
So we're already sort of in trial in that we
Yes.
figured out some
What
things
we
we need to
could
do.
say is, let's say another wedding, let's say someone's Martha's wedding, like this wedding's beautiful and I wanna do the same thing. And they-
500 guests.
Yeah, and they have, let's just say they have 300 guests, I want to put up a tent or chairs, that would be the trial. Saying we are actively working through this policy and this event application will allow a trial basis with this stuff. You learn from that and then you say, this is what needs to go in policy.
So the trial will be of high impact.
Correct, yeah, the trial would be high impact. We've just deemed that this is now low.
So it's the
So
sum
are
of
we
J,
saying she's approved if we get all the parameters squared away? Or, well, we can't say it, but
it sounds like to me that this board at least is,
I'm fine.
is fine with,
Yeah.
with council proceeding and approving the wedding, for the event there in Marina Park. Given the parameters that we've been given and given that it's a low impact event that does it sound like everybody's nodding heads? Yes? Cool.
Yes.
Then,
Let's do a voting for council.
One more
How much?
question.
Yeah,
Do we want to talk about price?
Can we change that now for this event though, or is this going into the future?
can.
I don't know what the price should be necessarily, Jamie. I mean, part of what we sent on the memo going up there is like, every one of these things is slightly different and that we need to work with whoever we're working with to try to figure out, or whoever wants to hold these events, to figure out what it is that the price should be.
Staff. Recommendation would be leave the price thing only because they're picking up their own chairs after, they're not taking attendance. They're obviously willing, we can put the shuttle piece in there. It seems flexible enough, like, I guess I don't know what city services you're asking for.
But I don't necessarily think that that's the wrong answer, really, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, and not well, is that there's that each of these events, the staff should look at it, and if you say, well, this is probably $100, that's fine. Or, oh man, this is gonna be like, it should probably be like $1,000. Then you should make that recommendation, and it shouldn't just be, well, all the events are always $100, doesn't matter what they do, they're always this.
and
Because I don't think
it's
that's
nice to have
right.
it based on something, though,
Well,
not
I
just an arbitrary, oh,
I-
Or
$1,000.
you could say non.
We could do some sort of matrix where like, it's yes or no, okay, you jump to this bracket. Yes or no, okay, you jump to that bracket.
Maybe we could
There's
use
a-
this trial period.
I think that that's kind of what we need to figure out, but I think council was pretty clear that even though this is more of a low impact event, it's like still taking up part of our park, and it's not, people aren't gonna be running through the chairs. And so I think we don't have a classification for medium impact or anything, but I do think it falls in between that low and high, and I think that if we were to say $250, I think that the residents might feel more comfortable with it. And I think I would imagine that Marissa would be okay with that. I just think that council was like, yeah, $100 isn't enough or $50 isn't enough for the use of Marina Park.
I-
And I mean, Traverse City, back to their policy, they have a tier system, so their parks are like tier 1 would be Marina Park, tier 2 would be like Upper Zorn, you know, and I think that going forward, that would be a great thing. It's just not something we need to decide today.
Yeah, and I think the matrix should, not just where those parks are,
Mm-hmm.
because I think it's important, but given the season that you're doing them
Yeah.
in, also has an impact on those parks, right? So
Yeah,
you wanted to do something in late June at Kiwanis. Okay, like there's, it's not a high use, not a lot of people are using it on any given, Thursday. And we don't have to worry about it too much, but yeah, the waterfront in June starts to impact maybe more people than
I like the
other
quadrant
places.
thing too, like how much park is being used.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think
I mean, I think this policy could go a lot of ways, and I think that there's a lot to talk about. And so I think that all we really need to do is decide, do we want to charge more than that?
that sounds like the main thing that
Yeah.
council was interested in.
Do we want to and how much?
I'm also in favor of different pricing for resident versus non-resident.
I also wanna bring up like, if people say they're going to take down stuff, but they don't do it, then we're in like a situation of,
Fine.
yeah, maybe if we have like
I'm just
a collateral situation where like, hey, you pay this amount of money now, and if you do end up taking all of your stuff down, then
Like a
we'll,
security
like,
deposit.
yeah, we'll reimburse you however much.
Yeah.
So I guess when we were talking about it being high impact, I understood adjusting the fee because it was a trial. Now that we've distinguished it's low impact and we have a policy that clearly states what the fees are, does it make sense to change this one wedding's fee amount before we do the whole policy as a whole and then adjust the fee? That's all I'm saying. So then when other events come, are we adjusting their fees? It just seems kind of unethical in a way that we're picking on this, not picking, but we have distinguished as low impact, we have a policy of low impact. High impact would be a different discussion completely, and in the future, when we discuss low impact, it'll be a different discussion completely. $100 may not make sense for low impact, we up to 200, 300 non-resident, then I could see it. But considering we have a policy of this wedding already currently fits into, is it ethical? to
But it's
then-
Also,
So that's the friendly question.
but it's also in the gray area because it says it does not affect normal use of the park, and it does. It just doesn't check all of the boxes to move it to high impact.
Or is it that one box that does then say, this is actually high impact?
Yeah.
We have more work to do.
Yeah.
We have more work to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see your point though, Rachel. I mean, the policy is what the policy is at this point, and
We can't
$150
change it now
one way
just
or the
'cause
other
this came up.
is
Yeah.
sort of like, we're just sort of making a show of it.
Kind of like, we're kind of like picking apples on what prices, like, I think it needs to be more fine tuned and concrete when we do. I think it should change, don't get me wrong.
So what you're saying
Based
is
on number of people, like percentage of our.
Yeah, I just don't know if we have a good enough system to say,
Right.
you know, this is what we're
We
charging.
definitely have.
No, and that's what we need to do, and this, I mean, this event was brought to us under our current policy, so I don't think it would
But I
be
see what
right. for
Jamie's
us.
saying too, I don't wanna bring this back to council and they're not happy with what
Right.
the Parks Board brings, and then it's not
Yeah.
approved again.
Well, they
As
can
a-
change the fee
Yeah.
then, but
I think they'll agree the fee should change. I'm just asking, does it make sense to change it right now for this wedding?
Is that how it can be presented to council? Is that we recognize that this was supplied under this current policy? We recognize there's some faults in this policy. Here is our plan moving forward with the next policy. In the meantime, can we approve this event forward?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if council will agree that it's completely low impact and that $100 is enough, so I don't know.
they can impose.
But I mean, absolutely,
Yeah, they
it can come from
So I
council,
guess,
but
and maybe this, so what I'm hearing, and maybe I'm, again, if I'm restating this wrong, let me know, but So maybe to council, we could say, look, we have a policy. If the staff has told us that they are a low impact event under our policy, that means right now, they owe us $100. And they get approved, right? And to use the park, right? Now, we don't think that's necessarily where it should end up, but it's hard to, before we do the pilot project here, it's hard for us to sort of
To change
change
the
it.
rules. in the
midstream.
military
Yeah, you
application
can-
And if council wants to do it, that's okay, but I guess our recommendation might be,
Give us time to work on this, like change it.
if that's what you want, then okay, but maybe not these folks who are,
But once we
The
do the
first one we
policy and
did.
if we do that checkbox and, you know, it would have been, what are we hung up on, you know, use of the park is drastically changed and boom, high impact, then it's clear. You know, and if we do have a wedding that comes forward and is high impact, then that's gonna be a trial, a different discussion, but that would be my recommendation, is to be approved as the policy currently is. And if knowing that that needs to be adjusted.
And with a copy of their shuttle agreement, and is there anything else we were wanting?
I think it just needs to be in writing that, you know, they can't set up a tent. That if they damage the park,
sure,
you know,
of course,
if they don't take the chairs down. And I don't know if,
go over time.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if it means we charge $200 and we give them $100 back.
That's a good thought.
Um,
Yeah, that would make sense.
after the
Yeah.
event, once they follow through with everything.
Yeah, I would support that.
I like that idea.
I mean, ultimately, it's not up to me, don't get me wrong, sorry, I'm
Right.
not trying to take, I'm just trying to like,
Happy to split this big.
Yeah.
If
just
that's,
in the middle of it, now that we have all of our ducks, that it may make more sense.
I like the idea of it partially being a security deposit and I get it back and then.
I just think it's a good idea because like. Applying it to the school like situation, we have a lot of people who will say they'll do stuff, but then they won't, and there's nothing in place, so it's not deterring anyone from doing it again.
we should
So
also, but
So my second question is, if this exact same wedding came to us and wanted to use Marina Park on August 2nd on a Saturday, you know, does that change? And I think that that's where right now we need to say, this is a trial period. We are going to look at all of these events individually.
Yeah.
But we do have a we are gonna block out whatever dates.
I
because
think we should recommend
think-
to council
Yeah.
that July and August are off the table for Marina Park for private events.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
I
don't
just want to make sure that this doesn't bite us
Right,
because somebody else wants the exact same thing.
Yeah, I
But
agree with
I
that.
think that-
Yeah.
And that can be
And if
part
this
of our
was a
new.
Saturday, this would also be a different.
And a week later even.
Conversation.
And a week
Yes,
later. I
it'd be a different conversation.
June is weird, it's nothing.
But that's
nothing-
why this wedding came up, because these are the questions we've had for quite a while, actually, in a park and our events policy. So, okay, but I just want to clarify.
So if we're to vote on something
Yeah.
here, because we've got a great recommendation from our student rep who really found us a good path here, which is a security deposit. We're gonna ask for $200 for the event. If everything gets done the way you're supposed to do, $100 gets back. We're back to our $100 that our policy is. And we'd like to recommend to council that during this trial balloon period, that July and August for private events, particularly at Marina Park, are off limits. Now,
And maybe some type of written agreement, about any damage to the park will be
right,
taken care of and, a shuttle service will be.
that's right. And leave that to staff to sort of make sure everything's in writing.
I also had mentioned at council, no drinking. And they completely agreed that they're going straight to the pier afterwards, and Kyle also nodded that that was a good idea.
Marina
So-
Park, I think, is a social drinking district, and they won't be selling
I
anything.
think it was, I think it's
Did
technical.
Kyle get into it? Okay. Yeah,
Right.
sure. So, okay,
Also, I think you're supposed to be.
Do you still want to vote on that?
yeah.
Before we do that, though, before we do a vote. Is any of this make any sense? Okay, okay,
And could I ask,
sure, absolutely.
has anybody priced a church
Oh,
lately?
man, yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot more than $100.
Or
And if
any
you're-
venue.
If you're not a member, it's way up.
We are resident with public parks though. And pavilions and things like that. We did look at that, unless you're running a building. Like the Emmett County Fairgrounds building or Traverse City has a couple buildings, things like that. So,
And then
but
also
we can still, we have room for adjustment
Yeah.
for sure.
Before we move forward, what are next steps on this policy? Is this something that you're gonna create a draft and bring it back? Do we need a subcommittee to take a look at what this is like? I just wanna know what's the next steps.
So the next step would to take this specific event to council, and then staff will work between the council comments, which are kind of already on there. But I think the bulk of what we talked about tonight for staff to work on is for that cover page to be what is low impact, what is high impact, and how officially do we designate that? As soon, like, I really like how Traverse City does it, because it's very black and white. Like, you don't need all 5 on there, you just need 1, and then you're high impact. To me, that's very simple. And keeps it plain for everybody.
I
And then-
also really like Charlevoix's policy, which is a little more gray, but it does protect things like
The nice thing about Charlotte was,
West and Venetian and all
Policy.
that. For that.
I think, council will appreciate, is council has the final, like, they can basically edit whatever they want on that application and the policy. Like, if they decide that something doesn't fit like this, it leaves the door open for them to say, no, you're right in the middle, we're gonna charge an extra 100 or something to that effect. They basically have that clause in their policy, which I think is fitting for these reasons, things that don't quite fit. So, yeah, I agree with Jamie. Charlotte is lengthy, but it covers the bases as well.
Can we make a motion for this event and then I can give you a little bit more on the whole?
Yeah, then
Yeah,
we'll know
that's
what
fine.
we need to work on.
Sure.
Do you wanna ask Marissa, has any?
Yes.
Marissa, are you there?
Yes, I am, and I appreciate all of you and all your comments and everything. That sounds great. The plan that you guys are thinking to move forward with works for us. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. We won't have a tent. We do have shuttles, but and once we know we can have the event here, then we can finalize the shuttle. We were just talking to them before this meeting, so we will be able to provide that for you guys after. We won't be having any drinking during the ceremony. Obviously, once we get to the pier, that will begin then, and can provide any other paperwork that you guys would need.
Thanks, Marissa.
Awesome, thank you, and thanks for
Thank
working
you.
with this.
No, thank you all.
Yes, your patience is appreciated. Your
We
forethought,
truly
out there early.
appreciate you all, and I know it's not an easy decision and has lots of layers, so I do appreciate it. So does Michael. So thank you.
Thank you.
So it sounds like maybe a motion.
I would do a motion with a roll call vote.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve this event with the contingency of having a $200 fee. 100 of that being a security deposit to be returned to comply with the current policy that we have already in place.
And written confirmation.
Oh,
that
sorry,
there will-
and written confirmation of details such as shuttle, no tent, no drinking, and confirmation of chairs being picked up at the end of the time. Yes.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded, Rachel, can you call the roll on that
Like, I'll forget who did what.
one?
Scott Reed.
Yes.
Richard
Yes.
Serbrook, Kevin Mulder,
Yes,
Dan Ritter, Sarah Lee,
Yes.
Maggie Plus.
Yes.
thank you, Caitlin.
Okay, and then just real quick, the events on public property council feedback in general was we should be charging for services. All events should go to council. There is inconsistency in what is brought. Explore charging a fee for applications, especially for private events like this one. I don't know that council wants to charge for an application fee for every event, but ones like this where it does take staff time. Timing is 30 days enough, and I know Rachel put some other things in this, and then overall council just wanted to see a little more work, and I think that going forward, if we take some time to talk about some of these individual events, we will be able to develop something.
When you say they want all events brought to council, are they just talking about like high impact, or they don't want every single event?
Well,
So every time Kiwanis is rented, they want to hear it.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not, that is what somebody had said, was that all events, whether they mean every single time Kiwanis is rented, whether it means, every parks event.
Maybe we're gonna.
But I think that we can determine that in our new policy is, are there other things that should go to council?
I think determining high impact and low impact will help with that a lot.
Yes.
Too, like everything with the tent, if that high impact that goes to council, that's a pretty already standard practice. When we get added in fall fest, you know, historically, I haven't taken those. No problem there, it is high impact. So that may ease some of those comments too, is knowing specifically what's coming.
So next step, then you're gonna work on like the parameters and
Yeah.
maybe like a matrix with like sliding fees, like if there's more people or more of the park is used, or then we can talk about what those fees may be.
Yeah, I'll probably, if it's, I'll probably do it similar to what I did here, I'll attach everything in order and put the different options in like red, blue. And then we just decide how we wanna, like, the edits in red.
Mhm.
Decide what we wanna keep and what we wanna get rid of and what we wanna edit. That way we can, I'm better when I can see the full document
Yeah.
personally.
And do you want a subcommittee, or do you feel comfortable doing this?
Or I don't feel good about it, yeah.
I think if we set some goals, like what are we trying to accomplish in redoing this? That might help us.
Yeah.
Forward.
So goals being more clarification on high impact versus low impact event. Goals being a fee structure.
That's not arbitrary, that's based on
Yep.
something.
Balancing private events with public use. Like how does it interrupt the flow of the park of the event?
Figuring out blackout dates. Do we have a resident fee and a non-resident fee?
Duration of the event.
Blackout days,
And like number of attendees too.
Amount of DPW involvement.
I mean, I trust you to work through all this and.
yeah, a lot of the applications have really different options, like some of them charge a fee based on how many people are there. So I think we just put it all in there as a document and then we decide what's too much, what we wanna keep.
I really like the idea of some kind of questionnaire that
Yeah.
Yeah, that helps.
spit you into the right
Really not
direction.
I read it, it's they have it on both of them, so make sure you're in the same, you're not wasting your time for the wrong application for one.
Yeah.
So that's helpful.
So Rachel, maybe based on the direction of those goals
Yeah.
and what council has said, I think you're clear to work on this. Because council sort of directed what needs to happen.
You want me to bring some fee ideas as well, like not
so.
them for president.
And then let's work together to try to get as early as we can to the board before the next meeting so that we can start, so you guys can have some time to really work through it and think through it.
Yeah.
And
Then also it's on an agenda multiple times, so public has the opportunity to
That's
comment
right.
on it.
So if people have some concerns, we can do that.
And I definitely think we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, for sure.
Be good for everybody, so,
I think the questionnaire is gonna be key to determining high or low impact.
yeah.
Shuttle, no shuttle, tent, no tent.
All right, any other comments on this particular policy? Any from, okay. All right,
Good discussion.
good discussion. We're gonna move to public comment on any of the agenda items. It sounds like maybe you're okay for it right now. I want to cover it in public. Thank you for coming. And we might have a comment in the Parks Director report.
Real quickly,
Oh, sorry.
sorry, before we dive into that, I just want to I'm sorry, I apologize, I wasn't here during the approval of the minutes, but I just wanted to note that I was not at the meeting on October 14th. And my name is on the meeting, so just as
Okay.
you make
So
that.
take Sarah off.
Sorry,
add
yeah.
Kevin.
We totally
My
approved it. that you- Sorry.
I was not on Zoom.
Oh, okay.
I had conferences I couldn't get out of, yes, sorry.
Can I also give a really quick update? We also presented Kiwanis Park plans to council, and overall, there wasn't a lot of feedback other than they liked it. There was some concern or question about plumbing on outside walls, but that was really the only feedback council had as far as any of the design that what we have come up with or presented so
Great.
far.
Good.
So
That's good to hear.
From our Rachel.
No, but I did email it this week.
Well, that's progress.
yeah,
Yeah, that was positive.
I think so.
Okay, now park director.
I know most of you know, but, Victor, our city manager, resigned. His last day will be December 16th. Don't be too sad for him. He's going to Breckenridge, Colorado. He has an amazing view from his office. So don't cry too many tears. And some of you may know that, Lucas Vandersee, our DPW director, will be on medical leave here for the foreseeable future. So just know that some projects may be being a little slower than we're used to, but you're still chugging along and you will still be in the office and communicating and we'll be moving forward. So just know that if you have a DPW related question, you gotta go through a couple more hoops. Working with the city clerk on the 2026 budget, we don't foresee any major changes. Only thing we asked for were a couple small projects, and of course, the beach building. So nothing big there. The capital improvement project will go to council for review November, December. I just wanna, the DDA is starting their Ice Fest committee. It's parks. I just say yay, nay, nod the head, if you still wanna be involved. So I know if I should go to those meetings or not. I should, I think I should, but,
Good.
Staff is working on finishing up some quote for the beach restrooms. All I need is the HVAC quote, and then that'll be completed. I'll bring it to the board. We don't need a motion or anything. That'll just go to council for review. And how they want to bid it out, or if they want to bid it out, whatever they want to do. Park updates. It's, you can read it. It's basically just getting ready for winter. Pretty much what our life revolves around right now. Still hoping John Cops will do the T-pads on the back 9 in November. I'm calling him daily. And wood chips are ordered to be delivered from Quantic Park out of this year's budget for next spring delivery. And that's pretty much it. Any questions on the director's report? Thank you.
No, thanks, Rachel.
We were gonna, Deanna and I had worked with Dave Hoffman to move those trees in Shea Park, but then his machinery broke. And it doesn't really make sense to have him run a machine to do it, pay a lot more, so we're just gonna wait. That's why those trees are still there.
Were there a couple trees installed at Child's Park?
Those haven't gone in yet either.
Spring, wait till spring.
Any other questions for Rachel? Anything else for the good of the order?
I have something, there is a movement afoot to have a full page ad in the paper thanking Victor for all he's done.
Yeah.
And, so if you would like your name to be included, let me know. Yes and yes.
Yes.
Would you like your name included too?
I'm on the city, so I really.
That's all right. And then if you guys wanna talk to 6 friends and, you know, we're trying to fill up the page, so, and then just shoot me a note with the names, that would be great.
Yeah, I have to deal with wet drivers.
All right, anything else? See that, we're out of here.